We're live, baby. Thanks for tuning in today. We've got a very special stream for you. Markets are looking a little toppy here. We've been waiting for this AI craze, this huge expansion of markets to come to a simmer, and it finally seems like maybe that is what's coming. Off the back of OpenAI, SpaceX, the highest inflation numbers like we've seen in forever, year over year. Coming in today, we have CPI at 4.2%. How do you guys feel about that? 4.2%. Holy crap. 4.2% is insane. The Fed's target is 2%. Yet we're banking double that. And in just 1 week, literally 1 week from now, you should tune in and watch here. The FOMC, a new chairman, Chair Warsh. I'll have to come up with a nickname for him. Will present his first federal open market committee, and off the back of a 4.2% print, double the inflation target. Cuts are not on the table. It would take some crazy mental gymnastics to get to a cut at this point. Probably closer to a hike. I know that's not what anyone wants to hear. And when I say closer to a hike, I'll rephrase. The Fed should hike off of a 4.2% CPI rate. It should. But will they? The Fed is commonly slow to react. The Fed leadership has changed hands, and nobody really knows what's going to happen here. We're going to look at federal interest rate predictions probably later in the stream. We've got a lot of charts to look at today. Right in front of us is the VIX. The VIX is maybe the biggest signal that there is about to be some craziness coming up. The VIX has been climbing basically since June started, the volatility index for the stock market, and it is looking to break out here. I would say this week. This is the hourly time frame, and we can see a beautiful bullish pattern playing out here. Higher highs, flat top, ascending lows. This is a chart looking to trade higher. I have the CPI print right here in front of us. The previous was 3.8. Now we're at 4.2. I guess the only good news here was the forecast hit. 4.2 is what the market was expecting. That's what it got. On top of that, or I guess in addition, core CPI up 2.9%. These are not the numbers. We were hearing the rhetoric of like inflation's cooling. It isn't getting worse, but everyone living in reality, I don't think really had any doubts that inflation was not going anywhere, not cooling, not slowing down. The price of goods just continues to rise. We're seeing this at the pump especially, and that's probably important to point out that a lot of the CPI here was off of energy. But I hear a lot of people kind of selling this down, being like, oh, well, it was just energy. It's just energy. It's not everything. Well, that's a really simple-minded take here. Of course, at some point, the conflict, the war in Iran will end. Probably no time soon, probably not this year. It doesn't really seem at all like it's coming to a conclusion. It seems like it's heating up still. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. It remains closed. It's unlikely to be open. Energy doesn't seem like it's going to fall anytime soon. And even if it does, the downstream effects of energy simply being expensive right now will ripple into goods and services. Pretty much everything requires, and I'll say everything requires energy to be made. So when the price of energy increases, you see the price of everything chase it up, see it rise. For the first time, we're live on Facebook. I don't know how to actually see the chats over there. I don't even know if we have any chatters over there. We're also live on Instagram for the first time. I don't know if there's any viewers over there, but we're on Kick and Twitch and TikTok and YouTube, and I appreciate you being here today. Appreciate you being here today with us. No matter what platform you're on, I need you right now to tap the screen. I need you to like, subscribe, share it out. Let's get it moving a little bit. We're just waking up here, I know, but let's get it going. Who's here today? Oh, God, there's the spam bots. Like the spam bots on TikTok are wild, dude. I don't know what to do about them. I don't even know if I can like really remove them. I see them, though. Let me see if I can do something about it. Can I hide that guy? Blocking him? I don't know if that does anything. I don't even know if that does anything, but I'll give it a try. Bunch of scammers. Get out of here, scammers. Hit the like button for scammers. Blocking scammers. There we go. No matter what platform you're on right now, please hit the like button, subscribe, tap the screen, share it out. We're going to be reading the chats. I want to know what you guys are feeling today. Is it just me? Is it just me or market's looking toppy? Bitcoin hit an extreme fear again. We have single digits continuing here, despite price kind of where it was. Honestly, I would expect higher fear in other market sectors right now. Specifically gold. Gold is looking incredibly weak. Gold in 2 days now has traded back to its low in March, testing 4,100 after failing to put in any kind of highs. This is looking more and more like distribution. Gold is not looking great. What kind of day trading sites and tools do you recommend for beginners? Mad Attack, man, I would look into paper trading. Start paper trading. Learn the ropes, man. The last thing you want to do is jump into trading and lose a bunch of money, and then by the time you actually figure it out, you don't have any money to trade. That'd be my advice. Way too frosty, Vegas Claw. Nice bounce incoming. A little bounce for what? For gold? Gold could definitely see a bounce here. I would kind of expect it to sweep the liquidity of the low from March 1st. Trade briefly under 4,100 wick, move back up, maybe then something like this. Retest 43. Ascending support, flip it to resistance, and then maybe continue the trade to the downside for gold. Nothing makes sense. Logic is out the window in markets lately. You started with 1,800. Now you only have 368. Knitting. Exactly, brother. Exactly. The worst thing you can do for yourself in trading is to lose all your capital before you even really can understand what's going on. And that's why I always recommend paper trading. Find sites that offer it. Basically, it's more like trading as a video game, right? You're not actually risking any capital. It's the best way to go. Markets look tired. I'm tired, bro. What is that? Lightning thunder. What is this? Every crypto video you ever watch on YouTube breaks their policy. YouTube would disagree. Weird statement to come in and start spamming. Very weird. What do I think of 𝐂𝐶𝐞 and Google right now? Can look at stocks for sure. Here's like the kind of bigger picture. VIX is climbing. VIX looks crazy bullish. Typically, when VIX rallies at all, stocks are dumping. We haven't had a really big move in the VIX outside of like April, but April of 25, kind of April of this year, in those really isolated like entering Q2 sell-offs. We haven't had a big jump in VIX, I would say, since the 2020, the COVID crash. But we are seeing now the signs of a pump building. Absolutely. I think that the VIX is going to break out this week, or possibly this is front running into next week into the FOMC when Sherwarsh joins us. What about XRP? Dismiss DJ? We can look at XRP then. Give us a little bit. We're still breaking into it. We got a lot of charts to look at. The VIX to me is signaling trouble. It's signaling that trouble is coming. It's not exploding right now, but it is building into something that I expect to break out. Lows are coming up. Resistance is being tested here on the VIX, weakening resistance, and you're going to look for that move to the upside, and that suggests a volatile period is coming for markets. I think that is a really easy take right here. DripBit says Bluefin has demo. Pretty much every exchange has demo at this point. It's pretty ubiquitous. I'm tired too. What's up, Derek Merrill? Pickle, Tillin, how are you boys doing? The old GIF with the World of Warcraft Raider shout. Leroy Jenkins, or DPS very hard. How you doing, Pickle? DripBits, David Williams. VIX is pumping, still bad for Bitcoin. So in general, I would say the VIX pumping, suggesting that stocks are going to sell off or are selling off. That has not historically been good for Bitcoin. We're definitely going to get to Bitcoin. Let's look at the SPX. So the title of a lot of these streams today is, this is a bull market over. Well, we never really know, right? When the bull market's over, that is really an impossibility to guess. But we are seeing, in my opinion, the first weakness in indices that can't really just be explained away via, okay, well, we've been seeing these Q2 sell-offs. We've been seeing April come in year over year and just retrace and bring us strong retracements that we bounce into in the end of the year. We already had that happen. We've already seen that this year. 2026 already had a pullback. It was a very juicy, very nice pullback. If you look at Why can I not have the ticker on here? If you look at, I think it was SPY, it was a more clean previous backtest. It went back to February's high, backtested it, acted as a really strong entry point, and went higher. But here we are. It's June. We didn't have anything like this last year. Last year, we pulled back and we really just traded up to the right and continued until obviously the year ended. We started in April again, blah, blah, blah. This is looking different. The bounce was stronger in April, but it doesn't look like it's sustaining. We can see this pulling back, breaking market structure, trading lower than May. This isn't a great sign. When you combine it with VIX, this certainly could be looking for another drawdown, and that is outside that scope of just simple pullback, right? That's not great. It's not a good thing to see. When we look over and we kind of say, well, where is this money going, right? Everything's moving down. Gold's down, crypto's down, stocks are down, oil's down. Certainly, we can point to things like Dell has sucked up a lot of that money over time, though Dell also retracing here, falling into the gap it left back from late May, looking for that 327 entry, getting closer and closer to reality here as it's drifting back down. We can say a lot of the money probably went into Micron. Micron had an insane run, even just this year, March to June, 200%. Micron's pulling back. This is not quite as alarming to me as, say, the SPX, some other charts. This looks pretty par for the course, though Micron's valuation, let's be real, is probably closer in the short term. It is probably overvalued in the short term. It's closer to overvalued than undervalued in the short term. Micron's put on insane gains, and you can easily say and make the argument that this has more to go. It's more valuable than this. It can trade at a higher valuation, absolutely. But when you look at something that's so very pumped, 1700 in a year percent, you gotta start thinking, when is this going to at least just look to move back to an equilibrium, to like a more fairer valuation? Even if it's going to trade higher, even if it's going to double, triple, whatever it is that you think it's going to do, when is it going to have a significant pullback? Just, if anything, to just flush leverage, to just flush those late longers. I don't know. It's getting harder and harder to long these things. That money, though, where's it rotating to? And I think the obvious answer is going to be the dollar. How's SanDisk doing? SanDisk as well. Yeah, I'll pull that up. I have it pulled up too. I think the obvious answer here is the dollar. The dollar has been having a pretty strong month. It hasn't done anything too spectacular yet, right? It still remains under kind of this 100 resistance. We've seen the dollar battle with this since April of last year. So actually, this is something interesting. In 25, the stock market dumped in April with the dollar. It didn't hit its low in April. It continued to one tinier leg down afterwards. But that does separate it here. I would say that's actually kind of interesting. I haven't heard anyone speak of this. The dollar has then ranged since. And here we go in April, hitting a local low and now bouncing back up. It actually looks kind of remarkably like this if it rejects from 100 again. But that is a different scenario. You have a meaningful, not a pretty meaningful. You have a very meaningful dump, 11% on the dollar into the sell-off of 25. Of course, they hit a little bit lower in June, about 12%. Now we're ranging, and it almost kind of appears like it's going to do the opposite. Kind of looks like it's going to pump up and fill some of this space. But on the sell-off this year, that didn't happen. So there is something here, the valuation of the dollar, I don't know, the capital rotation. We can attribute this to a few things. Likely profit taking on a very frothy stock market. Fears of, I don't know, overvaluation. We'll table that one for now. But the real, maybe compelling factor we could say is new Fed chair who is going to be more geared towards protecting the dollar's valuation. I think it's a weird choice, but to the strength of the dollar, that's something that's been said. And people basically looking for liquidity for these big IPOs coming up. They're going to be a huge liquidity sink, and they're going to see a lot of capital rotate to them, really, whether we want to or not. The dollar is in the front center. It's on the main stage here, I think. Definitely going to be watching this closely because it finally does have a higher low. If it breaks 100.6, which it basically was going to do last week and paused, we could see a lot of retracement back to the upside, even if it's just a lower high. As it stands right now, you could see this back to 107, 106, and it's really just back to its descending trend, putting in a lower high, then seeking back out, this ascending low again at like 100. This can play out over a long period of time. But one chart that almost no one is looking at, and we just can't seem to get away from, it haunts us. The M2 supply versus the SPX. We can't seem to get away. Last month, we closed at all-time high. That was a pretty incredible thing to happen. It has taken 26 years for that all-time high to be retaken. The highest valuation the SPX ever had versus basically the supply of money in the United States was right at the 2000 crash. Took 26 years to recover. Last month, or at the end of May, it was looking very strong, but now some signs of rejection again. This is really dragging it out. Let's see what that looks like. Boom, right there. Close at all-time high, and now retraced. Actually, kind of looks like it retested May's open here. Interesting. We have seen some pretty clean retests on this chart. This is a calculated chart, of course. This isn't actually directly being traded anywhere, to my knowledge. But it's still a valuable data. Still very valuable as a chart. You can see there's been a long climb. I have kind of two hypotheses here. Yo, what's up, Trev? How you doing, brother? My guy Trev over on TikTok. Let me see. Can I tried to give you a mod last time? It didn't work. Let's see if it works. VVX or VIX? I was talking about the VIX, my friend. Dismiss DJ. VIX. Let's try it one more time. I don't know why it won't let me do it. Is what it is. The VIX, the VIX. The big chart, this bad boy, signaling chaos ahead. That's what I think. Some mad chaos. Gold, yeah, gold down, retesting. Silver weirdly doing a little bit better than gold. It actually hasn't retested its low, holding on here. But I think it is a hard sell to think that silver is like looking good. This is distribution. This looks like a top. So gold's down, silver's down, the SPX is down. Bitcoin is kind of down, I guess. I mean, it was already down. It's been down. Not looking great. We are trading back above the 200 week on Bitcoin after closing above it this week and then trading back below it this week, breaking February's low. Bitcoin's just like holding on, kind of waiting to see what happens with this market, just like we are. Well, the dollar's high, gold, silver, and every other precious metal will suffer. Sure. I mean, yeah, that's logical. We should be able to say that about everything. Like when the dollar's high, you would expect all assets to suffer, but doesn't really seem that that's how it works right now. SanDisk, how's SanDisk? SanDisk. You know, when SanDisk dumps eventually, because at some point it'll dump. Eventually, when it dumps, we can start calling it scam disk, and that'll be like a great. That'll be great. That'll be a great nickname for it. But for now, it's still looking pretty solid. It has broken below May's high, flagging again. These things are so difficult. I've basically been saying this the whole way up. We had great trades on SanDisk, but the whole way up, it has been the same. It's like when things are just jamming all-time highs, it is very difficult to predict anything. It's very difficult to like look forward at all and say anything other than up, right? There's just like never going to be anything that is going to like give you definitive, well, like rejected resistance, this is over, unless you get big sharp sell-offs like gold and silver did. This is like the only signal you get. It's like, all right, you get this big crash, bounces a little bit, but it fails to break a high and your run's over. Silver did the same thing. And without it, you're just looking for more of the same. These are charts that just traded up and up and up and up and up. Showed very little weakness. The music stops when we least expect it, right? I wouldn't be surprised to see SanDisk hit 2K. We can look at, I don't know, we can try to like peek at divergence here. It's still painting bear div. You see RSI coming down. as all-time highs are hit. Money flow still looks pretty strong in the day. Maybe we look at higher time frames. God, this thing's just cruised. It's cruised. Even with this pullback, it's just to the 20-day average. Can't call bearish. Can't look at it bearishly quite yet. At least lose the 20-day, right? That's bonkers. 20-week actually gives us a target of 1,000. If we see a broader pullback like the VIX is suggesting, kind of hinting at, $1,000 on SanDisk would be pretty juicy. Be pretty juicy. That's right where the 20-week average is. Coming on up at 1,000. Beautiful flat number. If there is like a finishing move coming for these stocks, I could see that. That'd be a pretty good bounce. You know, even I know that we probably have looked for a long there, but I think that you could play another long at about 1,000 if, you know, this is a big if. As I said, I don't see signs of weakness yet, other than, you know, like the daily has some bear div, the weekly has some bear div. I wouldn't quite count those as anything super important yet. Some of these, man. I think pretty much every market is like just on pause until Wednesday. That's my, what's up, Psycho Savage? How you doing, brother? How many Ethereum does it take to become a whale? I don't know. It depends what you think a whale is, right? Is $1 million a whale? I would say probably not. Probably like $10 million. Ethereum is what, 1,600 right now? You need quite a few of them. What's up, Picho Store? Most likely see gold at 3,300. I could definitely see that. 1,600 on Ethereum. I think if you had enough Ethereum to make yourself a whale right now, I think there's a time coming this year where you won't be a whale anymore. What's up, Thomas Lav? Check out Nikki Future. Sure, we can check that out. Elliott Wave. Was he Brent WTR killing matters? I don't understand oil, dude. Oil doesn't make any sense. Oil makes no sense. It's like the reserve in the U.S. keeps dwindling. Strait of Hormuz is not open, not going to be open, and oil just sits here. It's just like, all right, we're good. I think like maybe oil just really overpriced on the run up in March, just like front run the whole thing, and I mean that can take a long time to play out still, but obviously not good news. Oil's sitting here at 90 and we're getting the like highest CPI prints year over year in forever. Not good. Like Dr. Crypto, let's rip the Band-Aid off. I'm here, brother. I'm here. You know, maybe we do this. Maybe we rip the Band-Aid off on Wednesday. You guys should absolutely tune in Wednesday for it's going to be historic. Next Wednesday, 1 week from now. Absolutely history coming. Actually, I can actually even do this quick. History coming on Wednesday. Churwarsh. New Fed chairman. I have to get a whole new thumbnail. I have to get all new jokes. There's a lot of pressure, but we're gonna make it work. It is like we say it every time. It's going to be the biggest FOMC, bros. This is absolutely going to be the biggest FOMC of the year. Like, just no doubt. Absolutely no doubt. Every word he says, because we're so used to it, you know, Powell, his rhetoric, you know, what he's, it's all the same. Yeah, we hear it over and over again. Do you know what the Fed is? Tune in for that. It's already scheduled. Tune in for it. June 17th, 1:30 p.m. East. Be here. Join us. We just have gotten so numb to Powell. Powell is saying the same things, doing the same things, being very predictable, being a very boring, and in my opinion, that's what makes you a good Fed chair. We have no idea what Warsh is going to say. We have not a clue what he will say on Wednesday. Markets are not huge fans of that. They don't like guessing. They don't like mixing it up. They like it all the same and boring. I know, no more chirpow. What's up, Crypto Mike? What else we get? I haven't really been looking at there's too many chats to monitor right now. What's up, my boys? You. Been over since October 2025. That's right. Certainly has been. Yo, Derek Merrill was over on Facebook. Yo, Derek. My guy. There we go. Mr. Merrill. Mr. Merrill, I think you're the only viewer over there. That's crazy. This is how we do. Time. Cool. What'd you ask? Nikki? We can look at Nikki. NIKKEI. What's up, Nimoy, my guy? Nimoy, that is a really good bet. Really good bet, my friend. He says, I expect Warsh to come out and praise Trump for a bunch of... Dude, where's the poly market on it? Where is the poly market? At this point, we might as well make some money on it. Because he... 99%. I feel like 99% odds he comes out. Nikki. Comes out and just talks about Trump. It just like that. I don't know. I'd put 100 bones on that bad boy. Gina. Oh God, I wish. No Gina. What's up, psychedelic astronaut? It's been a while. You're back. Good to see you, bro. Still hanging out. It is something. You love how they praise him like it's North Korea. It gives big North Korea energy. TA's so clean. Any tips? Any tips? Lots of tips, man. We have a really incredibly well done free trading course on YouTube, on the playlist on the channel. Lots of tips there. Keeping TA clean. Don't be afraid to start over, especially once your charts get like really messy. Don't be afraid to start over. Just start a new one or wipe it. It feels bad, but you just got to do it sometimes. Even I have to do it sometimes, where it's like having no information is bad, right? It's not possible to make a good informed decision with no information. But on the flip side, it's also impossible to make a good informed decision with too much information. Just noise, right? When there's so much that you can't even focus on something, it becomes just as problematic. So I would say for TA, keep it to high time frames. Start on higher time frames, start like a monthly, whatever you can go to, really. Like, I'm sure this has a lot of history. We could go to like a year, and then we're going to look at these major shifts. They probably won't impact what we're looking at today, but they will eventually. We can say, zooming out here on Japan 225, this is in a major uptrend since 2021. Major uptrend, up about 1,000% year over year. You've only seen 2 red years. I think your bias would be to the upside. On a longer term picture, you'd say, well, you have an untested previous all-time high. Always a juicy place for a position. May never come. May come sooner than you think. May take years. Who knows? Always a juicy spot. But you're going to have a bias to the upside. Then you zoom in. You're going to do basically the same thing. Looking at these quarterlies, you found validation of that previous resistance. Rejected, broke through. Looking good. Keeping it clean. Nothing really to add here. But always worth it to just start high, zoom down. Now that we're down on the month, you might have a more short-term play. Back looking for that previous all-time high. That previous high. Risk to reward here is kind of crappy. I don't really love this trade, but play something like this. Monthly open. Acting as resistance. Takes time. Takes time and practice. And even then, there's no guarantee that it even works, right? Kind of like this though. You zoom in, you can start looking at lower time frames. Wow, this surprisingly has no divergence on the highs, which is a bonkers statement. Not sure I really have ever seen charts like that. Very rare. All-time highs on RSI. Little order block here, validate support. Now we're down to week, kind of more actionable. You can see on the week, it actually did backtest that high already. So I don't love that. I don't love that trade anymore. Because if If you come back to 59.3 on the Nikkei 225, then you've basically developed a left shoulder and a head. You have a neckline. Yeah, it's at support. Maybe it is worth a long, but I wouldn't be looking for higher highs. I'd be looking for a long to a lower high. I think that was the trade, but still. The trick, yeah, so long story short, I think the trick to not having really muddled, kind of chaotic TA is high time frames. Zoom out, be on big time frames, establish trend, assess strength, look for untested levels, and then you can zoom in. You can get to those lower levels. But once you start adding, you know, like every single swing high and swing low, your chart is just not going to be a valuable chart. It's going to be slop. Actually, on the hour, this doesn't look great. Maybe the Nikkei's about to give back a little too. Rejected, lower high. I'm going to keep an eye on this chart. I'm going to keep this open. Kind of got into it. Psycho Savage on TikTok says the trading course is fire. Thank you, brother. Let me go back to YouTube. What are you guys saying? I haven't been reading you as much. I've been spreading my attention out. Some say Buffett is invested in Nikkei. I don't know, is he? Please bang that all out in a few minutes. No problem, brother. 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐫𝐭 𝐎𝐧, I don't know how to say her name, but appreciate those nice words. You know, appreciate the compliments. I've been doing this a long time. Don't feel intimidated if, you know, you don't feel as fluid, feel a little lost when you look at charts. It just takes time. You know, we want trading to be algorithmic or equation, like not based on feel. We want it to be quantifiable, because kind of the feel and the emotion of trading is really where most of the losses come from, most of the bad decisions. But you kind of come full circle eventually. Like, I think you need to start out that way by just like trying to stay quantified, like just analytic, and then eventually you start adding back in kind of that feel and that vibe. It's a little bit of special sauce, right? It's a journey. Rates will be cut too. Real Michael Saylor, I don't know about that, man. What do you guys think? We have all these platforms. We have viewers on all the different platforms. You think we're getting rate cuts? Honestly, I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. If we get rate cuts, that 4.2 CPI print today will be a bajillion percent. It'll be like 10%. I don't know. I think that's a little madness. Peaked at 59 viewers over on the Facebook. What is up, Facebook? Oh, we got 12. It's our first live stream on Facebook. We've been streaming for 7 years on YouTube daily. Appreciate you tuning in for the first one over there. It's cool. Part of history. I don't know how to pop the chat out though for it, so it's making it very hard. There we go. Is there not like a live chat? Is it just like messages, comments? Oh, man. Rate hike. I think we're way closer to a hike. I cannot imagine a Fed chair coming out with a straight face and being like, inflation is now year over year double our target. We have come here. Look at it this way. That is up from like 3 something last month. So the Fed faces the camera and says, we have cut interest rates over the last year. We have seen that impact be that inflation is increasing. It is double our target. We have cut rates for like the last 2 years. We are at 4.2% year over year now. If we, what are we going to do? Like, right? How could we ever justify cutting rates right now as the Fed? I think it would take incredible mental gymnastics. I think you'd have to just like fake data. You'd have to just make data up to justify it. Other than that, it would be because we want to. And that's what I keep saying about Wednesday. The first FOMC with Chair Warsh. Join us over at youtube.com/TomCount4. It's going to be a big event. We don't know what he's going to say. It's going to be exciting. Certainly Powell would never have said, we just feel like it. That's why we're going to do it. But we don't know. We have no clue what this guy is going to say. We can look at his history. He has a hawkish history that would lean in the direction of hikes. They've supported some fiscal elements of Project 2025, which includes getting rid of unemployment in the dual mandate and the Fed just focusing on the strength of the dollar. Well, guess how you strengthen the dollar if you're the Fed? Quantitative tightening and raising interest rates. It is really almost strange to me that Trump put Warsh into the Fed position, or nominated Warsh. What's up, K50? How you doing, brother? It's very weird to me. It doesn't seem to fit what his narrative is. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. First step is to fake the data. Yeah, I agree. Fire the people in charge of collecting the data. They have already done that. And then fake the data. I mean, what other avenues are there? Especially if you get rid of, that's the thing, is if you get rid of the unemployment mandate for the Fed, then you're only looking at inflation and the strength of the dollar. And there's no way to do quantitative easing or cut rates if that's your only concern. In fact, you could argue that the Fed would never then do those things. It would never, there'd be no condition for them to do those things. Because right now, unemployment is kind of the exit hatch. It's like, well, the Fed can say unemployment is getting bad, and so we do need to stimulate the economy and cut rates or perform quantitative easing. But without that, there's really never a scenario, right? Like, without balancing two objectives, there isn't a real reason to balance rates. It's like balance the quantitative schedule. Like, without two objectives, like, why would you ever cut rates? If it's just we want the dollar to be stronger, why would you ever cut rates? It's just knowingly making the dollar weaker. It's weird. Facebook won't let you comment. I have no idea. Not a clue. Send message. Can I make Derek? No, I guess there isn't moderators over there. I don't know. Give you a wrench. I tried, Derek. I tried. I don't think that there are wrenches over there. Are there? Moderation. Oh, Derek. I don't know. I don't know if like I can even do it. I have to like follow you. I mean, I follow you, but I click the button, nothing happens. Nope. Oh wait, there it is. I added you. Yes, I did it, Derek. I did it. I sent you an invitation. It says you have to like check it out. Schwein. They will not move the interest rates either way. They'll stay course until after the war gets done, and then wait for the end of the year to start cutting. Just how you see it playing out. I mean, it's not a terrible way to look at it, Josh. Certainly the war, like cutting rates and paying for this war, is double inflation. Inflation's already fire. It's already crazy. It's just a really weird place to be. I'm not sure how they're going to respond. I don't see the easy avenue. I don't see the avenue that supports kind of the agendas that are put out in front of us for this year. Let's put it that way. I haven't talked about Bitcoin much. Bitcoin is having not a great time. We are above the 200-week moving average. That we are. We didn't insta nuke. I think Bitcoin is also waiting for the FOMC. I think all markets are waiting for next week. Because isn't it not, it's the FOMC, and then also, when is SpaceX IPO? I feel like it keeps getting delayed, or I keep hearing that it's getting delayed, but maybe it isn't. When is SpaceX IPO start? Launch date, June 12th. Oh, so Friday. You start at Friday? That's all right. So start at Friday. Then into the next week, we have the FOMC. Weird. If Bank of Japan and the Bank of Europe hike rates, the U.S. will hike rates. I think the U.S. will hike rates either way. Well, that's what I think. That's what I think they should do, and I think that is what their dual mandate. Well, yeah, I think that's what their dual mandate would also promote. But I've been saying this for a while, despite it being a very unpopular opinion. Let's see. Fed rate monitor tool. 96% chance that nothing happens. Honestly, like I'm saying, I think that they should hike. That is what is called for. But I also don't think they're going to do it on Wednesday. The market agrees with me at this point. About a 97% pretty stable. Looking into July, though, only an 86% chance. It's interesting that it stays the same. 10%. Wow. Here we go. To all my haters out there. I'll blow your planet up. That's a really old reference. But to all my haters out there who haven't, tell me what I'm talking about. There you go, bros. The market participants are now looking at a hike being more probable than a cut. A cut at 2.7%. A hike at 10% for next month. So obviously not this month, but I kind of don't think that they'll hike in July either, unless there is something really crazy. I don't know if inflation comes in at like 5%, right? In the next year over year reading, maybe. I think September, October, November is where it gets more probable. Here we go. A 32% chance of a 25 BPS hike September of this year. A 3%. So at this point, it is 50% more likely that we'll see a 50 BPS hike versus a 25 cut. Let's look at October. October is when it really starts to break down here. You can see 75 BPS comes into the picture by October. A hike is, chasing no change in probability. They're about equal. By December, these are, there it is, by the end of the year. So it is more likely that we have a higher Fed rate by the end of the year than it being the same or lower, according to these predictors, probabilities, whatever. And you can put weight in them or not. And the farther out they are, the less probable, the less accurate they are. But I'm not going to lie, guys. We follow the Fed. We have been streaming the Fed for years. We invented the Fed live stream. We've had a really good track record of guessing what the Fed will do. I will admit, with the new Fed chair coming in this next week, I might not be as accurate. I think I had a really good grasp over what Powell's thinking was, where his mind was at. I don't know about this guy. I'm not sure about this guy. But this fits what we've been looking for. By the end of the year, a higher interest rate. We were saying that early in the year, saying that for a while. People were saying we were crazy, that wasn't going to happen, and boom, there we are. There's only a 1/3 chance that the rates will be the same by the end of this year. That looks like it fades off into next year even lower, only down to 1/4 by January, 1/5 by March. I mean, these are really far out. These aren't super meaningful. What might be meaningful is, let's look December, by the end of next year. 5%. This was not here to my knowledge. Yeah. Starting in May. May was the first time we saw the 5% by the end of the year pop into existence. Could be even worse. We'll see. Could be even more. That's why I think the music is stopping. I think it's stopping. I don't think it's going to turn off all at once, but it's time to start finding chairs. I'm not saying panic, exit everything, right? But as I have been saying, if you haven't taken any profit on any positions, cross markets, start making a plan. Start thinking about it. It's not sell everything, panic. It's like, all right, if you've taken no profits, maybe you look to lock in 5%. 5% of your position. At worst, you lock in 5% at an extreme profit, right? At best, you look like a genius in hindsight. Reality keeping up with that 4-year cycle. Yeah. Bitcoin, if we're keeping up with that 4-year cycle, we're waiting for this to break down, unfortunately. The inflation is so why could, like, what kind, honestly, I'm sorry. If you, like, I'm sorry, anybody out there, there's someone out there who's going to take offense to this. It's not personal. But gee, honestly, you got to be like an idiot you have to be an idiot, or really, maybe you're not an idiot, but maybe you just like kind of are being spoon fed an opinion about this to think that the Fed is like should cut. It's crazy. The big, beautiful global depression coming to you 2027. What's up, DBX Crypto? How you doing, man? Hike or cut, doesn't matter. Time tames inflation. Sure. But I mean, certainly if the hike and cut does matter. It's like a multiplier for the time. I think that's a good way to look at it. If they hike rates, how big of a crash should we see? I mean, I have no idea. There's no way to like give you a realistic answer. But markets have been super high on cuts. There's people who are offended by hearing that markets will hike rates, like offended, like mad about it. There will be a reaction. That's really all I can say. That's all I can honestly believe, like put out there, is the market will react. It's going to be something. Ooh, David Brum over there on here. Let me add you too, Dave Brum. Dave Brum. All right, I added you and Derek on Facebook to be mods, but it says it sent you an invitation. So I don't know if that goes like to your email or your messages or what. Not a clue. Musical chairs. That's what markets always are. That's the thing, is when the music is playing, everyone's having fun, meaning stock market's going up, everyone's doing well. Everyone's portfolios are going up, but the music always stops. It's the game of musical chairs. It always stops. And when it does stop, there's not enough chairs. And unfortunately, the number of chairs to players in musical chairs, the game, is much more generous than markets. Markets, there are very few chairs, and it does seem over the last 6 years, probably specifically since 2020, but maybe this has been going on forever, is there are fewer and fewer chairs. The proportion is smaller and smaller, and the topper and topper tier are the only ones with chairs at the end. So don't be left with no chair. Have a chair. ADA was left without a chair. You're right, Nimoy. It's pretty crazy. Warsh is screwed, dude. This is why I don't understand, like, what's going to happen. Trump wants cuts. Warsh, that's what I've just been yelling about that for like 30 minutes, Kingpin. Can't cut. You can't cut. When I say you can't cut, what I mean is you can't cut without inflation just spiraling, like absolutely spiraling. So, but what does that mean? Maybe that's what Trump wants. I think Trump wants the stock market to go up. If you have a hyperinflationary period, if you cause hyperinflation, the stock market will go up. It will go up. That is like, by definition, stocks will go up. But here's the problem. This chart in that scenario becomes so valuable. This is the problem. Is stocks go up, but this chart goes down. That inflation eventually outruns those gains, because those gains aren't real. They're just based on a weaker denomination. They're based on there just being more fake money. So this comes down. This is already moving down now. After closing at all-time high, it's already moving down. Not really honestly what I expected to see. I expected it to continue running. Let me see, in 2000. In 2000, it took about half a year from its high to just sell off. This is actually happening faster. End of life fiat chart. It's and that's gonna happen eventually. That's not tinfoil. That's not it. Yeah, people. I think that the biggest players want us to think that it's like a tinfoil hat conspiracy, that like fiat, like all currencies cycle. They all last for, I don't know, like the average like 100 and something years as the dominant currency, and then they all have the same fate. And that's gonna happen. The less dependent the less independence the Fed has, the faster that happens. I think the Fed is honestly the only reason that the dollar has remained like the hegemony for this long. That's not tinfoil hat. Like, it's the fate of all man. Anything you can print for free that is an exchange is like a currency. Anything you can just print will print itself into obscurity. Period. We are just not advanced enough as a race, I don't know, to fight it. We can fight it for a while, and then eventually greed wins. It finds a way. And that would be, I would argue, if the Fed cuts rates this month and next month, probably that's where we're headed. Probably we're like kicking that into gear. We're like speed running it. Why is WLFI up 10% today? God, I don't know, dude. Because it's down 99.99% and it's just like over shorted and the shorts are being squeezed. I would not. I always say this, when the whole market is trending down and you see just like random coins bounce a little bit, run. It's a trap. Yeah, dude, I wouldn't. Look at that. I would not go anywhere near that. I would never touch. Honestly, I would never touch this coin, even if I thought I was like I was gonna make money on it. I would never touch this coin. No thanks. No thank you. Right to its descending trend. Boom. 6 cents. Yeah. Right to the trend. On the day this money flow does kind of look like it's starting to roll over. Again, I would not touch this. Already rejected from its 618. I think all-time lows. There's more all-time lows to go. At some point, I do think that it will break out, just like everything that falls forever eventually bounces. You know, dead cat theory. You might look for 9 cents, but bros, is like the stupidest risk to reward, in my opinion. There are so many other crappy, things that I also wouldn't touch, but like, I know you guys are DJing, some of you. Like, there are just so many other crappy things that I feel like are just like better degenerate crappy bets that like have, it's the same theory of like it's just gonna keep falling, it'll bounce eventually. I would not touch this. Here's another one I would never touch. Like, holy smokers, man. All-time low 5 days ago, broke October's low. For the life of me, I will never understand how like it wasn't the end. Looking back in a few years, I have the hindsight now. I will never understand how this wasn't the end of it. This is the most blatantly corrupt thing. It is so crazy. It is so crazy. This one though, I may never bounce. This one may be perpetual selling. I'll just never understand, man. This is as someone who went to school for political science, just the most blatant corruption. It's insane. Anyway, it's not what the show's about. We're not a political channel. IGV. Interesting. IGV also eating it. IGV like escaped the correlation from Bitcoin for a little bit, and it was like, hey, wait up, actually. I don't want to get too far from you. Fed cutting rates be worse than Barney. What's Barney Fife? I don't even know what that is. OPN. Look at this. We looked at this like at the end of May, and I was like, whoa, this is diverged from Bitcoin. It rocketed up. It was over its 200-day moving average. Immediately lost it. It's kind of crazy. iShares expanded. This is a tech software ETF. This is not good. Oh no, I'm floating. That's not good. Tech software. This looks like bull run is over. Like this looks like bull run is over for IGF. And it is a tech software ETF. What is that? This looks like a crazy sell-off. You broke all your market structure. Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. all your market structure. This looks like a squeeze of shorts. Look at this. Look at this rejection. A squeeze of shorts to a lower high, right back below the 200-day. Probability is definitely to a breakdown on this. Sides with the breakdown. It's bonkers. You see ETFs about technology doing this, man. It really, like, I'm not a doomer. I'm never a doomer. Markets over time, they go up. You know, I don't like shorting because markets go up. Whether it's via inflation, which it often is, or through advancement, which it should be. Markets go up. I don't like being bearish, but like, what is happening? Right? Like, what is this? What even is it? It's like left shoulder, head, necklines established and broken. Now your right shoulder's coming in. This looks bad. Looks real bad. What's up, JGD? What's up, man? Chart SPX8, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Nikkei top 10 weekly bear div. Well, actually, I looked at Nikkei 225, and does it have bear div on the week? I don't think it did. Oh, it does. It was the month for some reason that doesn't, right? Yeah, it was the month that's like weirdly strong. I don't know. I have learned my lesson kind of watching bear div on the week through the cycles of Bitcoin, like through the multiple complete bull bear cycles I've watched, because I've watched things just hit all-time high over and over and over and over again as they've had bear div, not just on the week, but also on like the day. And so I've kind of like pulled away from using that as, I don't know, my argument. If that makes sense. Like I just see, even here, it's like a boom. You have bear div right here in February. Pulls back, it looks kind of ugly. Boom, you have more all-time high, a bear div again. So really what I'm getting at is you just end up kind of seeing it play out over and over and over again until eventually it does work, right? Until eventually it does sell off. So I'm just like hesitant about it. I don't disagree with where your mind's at though, especially when it comes to SPX. This thing is starting to look so crap. Actually it did break a higher high. Hood actually doesn't have bear div here. You have to go all the way back here to kind of look at that, and that data is out. But I don't disagree with you. I think markets, markets are obviously, they're being carried by AI, which AI is, when are we going to admit that like AI is going to change the human race? Artificial intelligence is going to change the human race over time. No doubts there. I've never doubted that. I was yelling about these things on this channel like 7 years ago, but what we have now, like these chat bots, these LLMs, like they ain't it, bro. They ain't it. They're not. I don't think they're doing anything. I think they're creating. It's just like when it writes something for you, right? Nice, Microsoft. We got like a perfect little call there. When was that? Clip that. They're not. It's like, it's exactly when you ask ChatGPT or whatever a question. You say, you ask it about crypto, right? Ask it a really complex question, something that you're an expert on. So for me, it would be like blockchain and crypto. But for you, I don't know, whatever you do at work. If you're a welder, ask it like a really complex welding question, really nuanced, that only like expert welders would know. Do it. Challenge you. It will give you back something that has like some correct information. It's not totally wrong, but what it is it gives you an answer that just sounds great. It sounds so great. And if you knew nothing about it, you'd be like, that's definitely the right answer. Yes, exactly. I concur. But the experts are like, yeah, this is like just not quite right. It sounds more correct. The thing it does best is sounding correct. And so it's almost a parallel, I feel like, to its valuations and what we're using it right now for. It's like, It's like, it just sounds right, but I don't think it's doing anything yet. There are certainly AIs out there, that are reading MRIs and I don't know, data and these things that are doing real value, adding real work. But the majority of it, I don't know when we're going to realize it or accept it, probably after the bubble pops, the majority of it's just burning energy, burning fuel on borrowed money, just like cyclical borrowed and lent money, buying shares of each other, loaning each other, whatever, signing contracts with each other to bolster revenues that aren't real. At the end of the day, you boil it all down, I don't think that value is being added when you compare it to the investment right now. You compare it to the money being spent on it right now, even just the energy behind it. I don't think it's adding value. The majority, like I said, there are reading MRIs and scans and other different uses are good, but that's just not what we're using it for right now. In the bulk, we're asking ChatGPT, I don't know, how do I talk to my girlfriend? And I don't know, it's replacing Google search results. It's making slop videos and content that I don't know who's watching them, but somebody is. Anyway, Microsoft. Damn, that was solid. 16-ish% move. We're just looking forward to test 468. I haven't looked at this in a while. Just a 618 retracement. Not looking good, honestly, though. Looking a lot like IGV here. It's all-time high. You fell, and you're just getting that maybe short squeeze rejection. You don't have quite as clear of a head and shoulders, but it's still pretty head and shoulders-ish. You might have to be a little more imaginative of how you draw it. Maybe like this. You say left shoulder, head, right shoulder coming in. And this can still trade higher and still play out that same pattern. Until it breaks all-time high, it's absolutely in threat of a lower high. Painting the right shoulder. Microsoft, same bear div on the way up. Same bear div at the all-time high here. Crypto 50 index. I hope not. I don't know, man. I do not understand. I feel like this will age badly at some point in the future. Could be a year from now. Could be 4 years, 8 years, 10 years. At some point in the future, it'll age badly. And then at another point in the future, farther into the future, it will age well again. I just don't understand at this point why anyone would be buying alts for a long term. None of them have proven themselves over time. Doesn't mean they can't ever, but we have zero examples, honestly, of alts that have been a good hold over time. And you can say, but Tom, what if you bought Ethereum at the IPO? Sure. If you got in on these things at levels, that just are not realistic, that just existed for so few people. Most of these things are going to be all the way back in early 2000s when maybe 1% of the people in crypto are still watching it. We're buying these things. And there's just such outliers. It's such an outlier example. Basically buying anything over the last 10 years, if it wasn't at the very earliest IPO, it has been a failure. It just gotten you wrecked. I don't like that that's true, but it is. I'm ready for that to be untrue, but yeah, right. Andy Griffith show. Okay. Wasn't Reshad? You saw that wasn't Reshad. What's Reshad? I don't even know what Reshad is. Psycho Savage. Code is a breeze. Writing code, yeah. There are definitely people who have no idea about programming at all are writing code and writing programs right now. But I think they're writing mostly slop programs that nobody's using. I think that there is an argument of people who are coders who know what they're doing are using AI, and maybe it's making them more productive. I think, though, that every time we make a concession like that, which I am, you have to balance it with, but there are also many examples of implementing AI and it wrecking systems. And even if it doesn't wreck systems, there's many and more examples of people implementing AI for coding and them having to then just go back and hand go over all of the code again. And that's adding more work. It might even be, I would even argue in that scenario, that is more work than just coding it to begin with, because now you don't have the familiarity of the system. You have a whole bunch, There's a lot of nuance. And as I'm saying, AI is the future. I just don't believe, and I keep saying this, the iteration of it we have now is that future. I think that this is like the training wheels. This is the thing, and we are getting so overinvested in it that I think it's going to be problematic, because I don't think it's returning. I don't think the revenues and the margins are there. Anything positive in the crypto industry next 6 to 8 months? At the end of the bear market, the bottom of the bear market. Next 6 to 8 months. Total 3 was higher low, while total until 2 have lower lows. Could be a tiny alt run. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin dominance was signaling that for a little bit. Kind of failed. Kind of fell down. Started not quite falling quite as hard. Love your stuff. By the way, thank you, JDG. And also, no matter what platform you're on, I appreciate you watching. I need you to hit the like button, tap the screen, subscribe, follow, share, all the goodies. Help hype up the live stream on whatever platform you're on. We're live for the first time on Instagram and Facebook today. So you're making history if you're on either of those platforms. Send a little heart out there. There it is. I think Instagram stopped showing our live stream to anybody. That's okay. Oh, wait, maybe it didn't. I don't know. I can't type over there. I don't know what that means. Where was I? Ranting about shit. What do you got? What else should we rant about? Stop hating. I feel like you guys are only selectively hearing what I'm saying. It's not hating. I love you, Luke. You're a great guy. Not hating. I'm looking at it in a bigger picture. I'm not looking at it as like an individual's use. For every one person like Luke coding with it, maybe building good stuff, there's 1,000 people asking the AI about like just dumb shit, right? Just like running these queries. Like, I don't know. Should I tell my friend Jeff that I love him, or just like whatever, just completely not value void uses, largely is absolutely the majority. Absolutely the majority of its use right now. And I think as soon as you apply like a cost, like a gate to it, I think that use just all like falls away. Here's another example of the integration we have here of AI. I posted this on X at Tom Crown. Cloudflare. Traffic over the last 4 weeks in North America. Almost 70% bots, 31% humans. I wonder what kind of value that's creating. I think it's just sowing chaos. That means that you can interpret this as 68% of the idiots you're arguing with on the internet are they're bots. 68% of like the opinions and takes that you're like, those are terrible. Bots. 68% of the takes that you agree with are bots. I mean, this is a trend that will almost certainly, this is a trend that absolutely will continue. I wonder how long it is till it's like 1% humans. I wonder how long that'll take. I wonder how long it took to go from like 50% to right now. Ooh, I did get an alert on Apple. I'm not hating. I'm not a fool. I've been yelling about artificial intelligence. Ooh, boys. Should I take this trade? I should take this trade right now. Let me see if it's available at our exchange partners, Femex and BYDFi. Links to both of these in the Discord at discord.gg/TomCrown. Ooh, BYDFi has it. BYDFi, BYDIV. Let me see. It's Femex. They both do. This is what I'm saying. Dude, crypto exchanges have come so far. This is kind of wild. You can trade almost anything on these exchanges. Virtually anything. You can trade SpaceX IPOs on them. And you should sign up using my link. It helps support the channel. Link's pinned to the chat in the video description below. If there is no message pinned or no description below, then join the Discord. You'll find links there. Discord.gg/TomCrown. I wonder if I can put one on Facebook. In the comment, perfect. Yeah, let me see where I got this money. What money do I have where? 2,000, 3,000. Okay. Load this bad boy up. That's right at entry, 228. Isolated 20x. Should I do it? Should I just rip it? God, I wanna do like this. Should I wait for lower? Yeah, probably. But am I just gonna throw that into the old order book as a limit? I think so. Is that too much leverage? Absolutely. Way too much. I'm gonna put a stop on it when it fills. Put this over here while it fills. But damn, let's go, Apple. Apple back testing November's high. Beautiful. Kind of random high here though. It's 317. 280 below it is really strong. Should I be a smarter trader and wait for 280? Yeah, I probably should. Some confluence there. I kind of like 280. It could be a trade. I just put a limit order for like 292. We'll see what happens. AI is fake and gay, MRE. I mean, a lot of it, but not all of it. Massive debt for AI and prey. I just don't like that. I also hate that we're building these massive data centers like at the cost of people. Like that's really what triggers me. I don't have an issue with data centers being built at all. I don't have an issue. I don't think that they should be built near people. And I 100% do not agree that they should ever receive any kind of subsidy. They shouldn't have any kind of subsidy, and they realistically should be taxed. They should be taxed. They should honestly be scaling, kind of sliding taxed, based on like the utility costs in the area. Like if the utility, like have studies done, and when the utility costs increase by whatever percent, they have to like cover it. We shouldn't have to pay more for like electric or water or whatever because they're near us. They don't create jobs. They don't give local jobs. That's always the trade-off with companies and subsidies. It's like, well, this thing brings in jobs and then people have jobs and that's a benefit for the area. I can agree. But how many jobs does a huge data center make? None. And especially like compared to anything else that's going to go there. Even if it's like an industry I object to more. Like even if it's like, I don't know, a coal mine. At least like people are working there. Everyone thinks AI is a bubble that's about to burst. You think they're just getting started? I think they're just getting started in a bigger view over the next 20 years. They certainly are bubbling right now. And you can, like, in an unarguable sense of their valuations, keep seeing bigger valuations, but they're not tied to revenue. They're not tied to product. It's like they're bubbling. I don't know. Who knows when the top will be? Citizens arrest. Who are we citizens arresting? What's up, Sin? Who else? Is Tom Crown real or AI? Someday, I too will be AI someday. What's up, Bud Monster? What's up, Amir? Cersei Entertainment, Froggy Mania, Kingpin, Master Koozie, MRE, Randy, Jeffy, Pickle, Tillin, for Hoofty Floofin. What's up, boys? I just took a long on Apple. Well, I regret that. Oh, wait. So it did fill. It just said it filled. I just have to reload it. Here we go. I gotta put a stop on that. 287.6. 6. %. Ugh. Such a bad risk to reward. I'll take it for now. Take it for now. I like that, though. Any Canadians in chat? By the way, I don't know, big. I mean, if you use my link for Femex, doesn't matter where you are in the world, or BYD5, it doesn't matter if you're in Canada or what country. Of course, it's on you. I'd never encourage you to do anything illegal. It's on you to know, but it won't stop you. One day I will be AI. That's true. I'm joining late, Froggy. All good. I am good. I'm good, bro. It's for the mark of the beast. For the beast, boys. Have you guys ever seen Over the Garden Wall? What a great show. The beast, boys. Beware the beast. Beware the beast. Another Andy Griffith reference. You're good, bro. They built a data center near a city in the Netherlands when they knew the utilities were not for it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm like. That's the whole thing. Is I'm fine with building data centers, but we shouldn't pay for them. You yell, well, they need data centers, like capitalism. Yeah, well, then capitalism can pay for them. Then if they're so valuable, they don't. Yeah, let them compete. Let them have capitalism. Let them have capitalism. Stop taking it away. They love it. They love capitalism. Let them have it. Stop taking it away. That's all I'm saying. Just let them have it. Stop messing with it. Being a dick. Taking away their precious capitals. My Apple trade is up 1%. Let's go. DSY. What's DSY? Take a look. Yeesh. Something about this chart makes me just flash back to crypto. I'd be very careful, knowing nothing about this. Look back here in September of last year. It looks a lot like it looks now. It was doing nothing, trading down. Wow, trading down meaningfully, actually. Trading down. And then for some reason, what the hell happened here? There's no info thing. What happened here? Tell me, Bud Monster. Opened 600% up, and by the end of the day, it had dumped 62%. So if you didn't buy it overnight, you just got dumped on, and it dumped forever. It just kept dumping. They did a stock split here, just kept dumping. And then here we are again today. I feel like lesson learned. 500% up. It seems similar. Yeah, this looks like a rug. What the hell is this? Big Tree Cloud Holdings. Tennessee is passing a law on data centers. They have to fully fund the project. Hell yeah, Tennessee. I don't know how often I say that, but hell yeah, Tennessee. Every state should do that. They should all do something to protect themselves from this. MapQuest. Best of luck on Apple. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm up 2.6%. Let's go, Apple. Yeah, right. There we go. Up a whole $30. Basically retired. Yeah, we'll see. I'll probably move the stop to the open. You got a lot more upside today. All right, boys. Let's wrap it up. It's been a great stream. We have Friday. We'll be live again. And next week, join us the 17th. The Federal Open Market Committee's first appearance of the new Fed chair, Warsh. It's gonna be crazy. Be here on youtube.com/TomCrown. Join us for the craziness that will be the FOMC next week. Jump in our Discord, discord.gg/TomCrown. Like and subscribe, whatever platform you're on, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Twitch, YouTube, wherever the hell else we are. Make sure you're followed and subscribed. We're going to be live again Friday, and you'll be here. So cheers, my friends. Don't worry. Everything's going to be okay.